Alright, should be live here in just a minute, in theory. How's everybody doing today? How was your weekend? Hope it was good. It is Art Sunday here on the channel. And traffic might be a little bit more noticeable today. We have the window open because it cooled down enough where we're not melting in a puddle with the AC on. So we're gonna, even though our allergies are probably going to murder us in our sleep, we are going to try to leave the window open for a couple of days and get some fresh air on up in here. See how it goes. So, we are needle felting along with Bob Ross. Lots of people like to follow his art tutorials in different ways. They'll paint with just listening to him. They'll paint blindfolded so they don't even know where the colors really are on their palette. Like somebody might have told them where they were placed, but then they have to try to remember. And I've seen some people even follow along with frosting. Seems like a waste of frosting to me, but that's just me. I mean, maybe if you're doing it on a cake, like a sheet cake, maybe. I don't know. But, so we've actually followed along with the oil paints. We've scaled them down to, like 4x4 pieces, but we have followed along with that. It's hard to scale his stuff down. He does them huge. He's doing 18x24s. I don't think I've done an 18x24 ever. I've done plenty of 16x20s. And those felt big enough. Excuse me. I don't think I've ever done an 18x24. I've done huge, like 5-foot canvases, 4-foot canvases that are like as tall as me. Or just, must have been 4 foot because it came up to like my chin. So, yeah, but I've never done an 18x24. But that's besides the point. I decided, hey, let's try to follow along with his stuff with needle felting. Now we're doing dry needle felting. And we're gonna see how it goes. We're a few live streams into this project, so if you wanted to catch back up with what we've done previously, those are archived on the YouTube channel, same name as here, NiseyBGN. There should be a link down below somewhere in the About stuff. And yeah, so we've got that going. It'll be on the Nisey Paints playlist. I still have to get the needle, I still have to get the yarn fluff video for how I do mine put up there. I do have it recorded now. I just have to actually put it up. I'll probably try to work on that in the next couple of days. But we got the last needle felted project, the Blue Moon tutorial that we followed. That has all been condensed down now, and that is into one go. We got the 13 live streams that were like 2 hours minimum, 2 to 3.5 hours, all chopped down into 2 hours in a 45 minutes, something like that. Much shorter than the first one I did, so my editing's getting a little bit more picky, and I did manage to really condense that down. I probably could have gone further, but we'll see what we can make happen with this one when we get around to that. So each individual live stream is archived, and then I smushed them all together for one sitting, one feast of the project all together, so you don't have to keep tabbing out. And I also put music over it so you don't have to listen to my dumbass talking. But here we are today, and we're going to pick up with where we left off. For those that want to watch the tutorial in full, you can pop on over to Bob Ross channel. There's the link for it. We're following season 3 of The Joy of Painting, and we are on episode 3. What was it? Bubbling Stream. I keep wanting to call it Babbling Brook, but it's Bubbling Stream. But yeah, so we're gonna dive into here. We started to get our waterfall put in place last week. And then I realized, oh wait, we can't hop in onto the grass because he doesn't hop into the grass right away. He puts the lake in first, and I was like, oh damn. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared for lake water, and you know, then we had to start trying to put in the lake. We still have to come back in and do that, so we can finish up all of our little foamy guys on the edge of the water. But we'll get there. We'll get there. We're just a little bit of a slow poking along, that's all. I'm gonna see about picking up some embroidery hoops and doing a couple smaller pieces just so we can try to get through them. Maybe not heaps done faster, but maybe a little bit faster. And then they can be displayed in the Hoopadoop. Thinking maybe 4-inch would be good. I looked at 5-inch and I sketched the size out in my sketchbook with my little, what is it, a protractor? And so I was trying to see what it would look like in my hands before I made a decision. And I liked the size of the 5-inch. I just don't know if it's gonna fit on here very well and still have a little bit of wiggle room all the way around to sit in the hoop, so probably gonna have to go with 4-inch. It's a little bit smaller than I want it to be, but you know, what can you do? All right. So I've got a couple different shades of green that we are working with here. I've got this kind of darker leafy green. Now, I've got a kind of like a fleshy lime, like the inside color of a lime when you cut it open. And we've got like this spring yellowy green. 2 of these are wool roving and the other one's acrylic yarn. And they seem to work okay with each other. That's why we're doing the dry felting, because I don't think the acrylic yarn's going to work well in the wet felting. And wet felting actually intimidates me a bit, so I'm just gonna stick with the dry version. That's fine. That's fine for me. I'm just gonna put in a little bushy guy along the edge in here. Well, we're gonna try to. I don't know how well it's gonna work. We might need to add a few layers. We'll see what we can do here. Excuse me. So I hope everybody had a good weekend. Back to having a normal week this week for most. Alright, I'm gonna get a little bit of our like springy yellow green here. Just kind of put a little bit of that in on top. Remember, when you're trimming away, to make sure that you're only trimming your loose piece and that you don't accidentally snip a little too close and cut your piece. That would be terrible. Alright. Let me see. Oh, careful there. Don't snap the needle. Let me see where we're at. Now, this is not something that you all need to do. This is just something that I do because we're getting a little ridgy, a little bumpy. We're not as flat as I would like it to be. I mean, that'll even out over time, I think, once we get the rest of all of this put in. But it seems to help a little bit, depending on how thick that layer is on the front. Alright. So let's grab this guy again. I don't have this real thick. I actually want it to be a little bit airy, a little bit stretched out, a little bit spaced out, just so that we can get some of our rocks and stuff to show through in certain spots, just so we're not completely covering all that work that we did getting those rocks and their highlights in, and just to give it an impression that it gets a little bit less vegetation covered as it comes down closer to the water in some spots. I mean, in some spots I've got it coming right down to the water's edge, and that's fine. We just want it to poke through in some spots. And I've got the tutorial paused currently so that we can see kind of where he's at the moment. Just to give us a slightly better feel for that. That was like the best all over visual I could get on that at the moment, because the cameraman on this one was very zoomed in for a lot of that, and I was like, my dude, could we zoom out just for a second, just so we can see what's been done already. But he wasn't listening to me, so it's like, alright, well, this is what we have to figure out. So I found what looked like the best, excuse me, my nose is itchy, the best wide shot there. Alright, now as I'm tapping this new color in, I am kind of revisiting the areas around it, just making sure that we're still looking okay. I am gonna fold what's left of this strand over on itself. Just a little bit. Oh, and I found out what I'm looking for the little ornaments is either eye pins or eye screws. I'd kind of prefer to get the eye screws if I can find them. Just because then there'll be a little bit more ridginess to hold the glue and the fiber to it. Even with glue, I'm not sure I necessarily trust the eye pin not to pop out. But I'm gonna need a couple for Christmas gifts. I'm thinking I've got parental birthdays coming up. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do for that. Their birthdays are like a week apart from each other. I had a box of cupcake mix I was saving for me. I might just make cupcakes for everybody and be like, here, this is joint happy birthday, because I don't have any money. We are broker than broke. Especially since bills went up. That's kind of the reason why we actually have the AC off today. Oh no, the AC is on. I'm sorry. We just have our room blocked off so that we're not on the AC run anyway. But we have our room extra blocked off because we had the AC turned off last night, but for some reason my parents are refusing to open their windows and I don't know why. They won't just tell us why. And it's not really all that hot outside. Not yet. I think it's supposed to get back up into the 90s, low 90s later in the week, but right now it's kind of decent. Or a change-a-brew. Alright, so I mean, your edges are going to get a little wobbly. That's just how it goes with this stuff. I mean, you're pulling all of the fibers in. So if that's going to deeply bother you, I don't know if this is the project or the medium for you. Alright. So you guys should be able to see where we're at right now. I have a habit of curling my arm around when I'm holding on something, and I'm sorry. But it does look like y'all can see. Get my arm out of there. Alright. got another very busy week ahead. Need to get some, or at least get a rug shampooed. I need to get some beta testing done for Dragonflight. I need to finish getting ready our warrior for Thursday. And if I have time, I might try to sneak in a little bit of gathering on that working man, just so we don't have quite so much to get through with them on Thursday as well. We'll see though. They're like last on my list of things to do. I have to next weekend I have to start prepping the Brewfest article for WoW Challenges, because that's coming up. I can't forget about that. Like, we went through a stretch of no holidays, so I kinda wasn't really in holiday article mode, so my brain wasn't like checking the calendar constantly, seeing what we've got going on, and then all of a sudden we've got Harvest Festival, Brewfest, Darkmoon Fair, like everything's like popping off on top of itself, and then we're gonna be going into Hallow's End and all that, so I can't believe we're like already almost halfway through September. Like, what is happening? Like, soon we'll be halfway through. Winter dragged on and on and on forever. And summer was starting to feel endless with how hot it was. And then all of a sudden, it's September. And a lot of us are standing here like, what the hell just happened? Did I, like, fall into some kind of weird mental state where I don't remember any of this happening? Like, what? I don't know. Very bizarre. Alright, I'm just gonna try to tap this in. I do have a pen line here somewhere. From us outlining the edges where I didn't want to go past. And I do try to stay within that line. I mean, I know I go over a little bit in some spots. This is actually the same line. It just looks wonky because of everything getting pulled in, so for displaying purposes, you might want to get a mat, like a thin mat, to cover the wonky edge, or maybe your frame will. I mean, you don't necessarily have to get one if you've got like a chunky frame that's gonna hide a portion of it. You might not be able to have glass in these though, in the frames for these, because I don't know if they'll fit. It depends on how thick your piece is, because some of these guys can really thicken up there. Let's see, if I pull that back out just a little bit, it evens back up a little. Alright, I've got two dark spots, or dark bits of fluff over here. I'm just trying to put these guys in just to help with some shading. That was just me grabbing a loose end and wrapping it around the end of the needle. So do remember, if you're going to have a finger in the line of fire, make sure that you have your finger protectors on. These needles are no joke. I would not let a small child do this unsupervised. Maybe a very mature teenager, but even so, I probably wouldn't give like a 13-year-old these needles. I'd probably wait till like 16, but that's me, and you would know the maturity level of the child that you might be working with, but I wouldn't just give this stuff to kids and say, have fun, bye. No, 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 no. These are barbed needles. There's notches cut into them to help grab the fibers and kind of mush them all together. Technical terms here. And so it's like, no, no, no. This needs fucking supervision. I'm sorry. There's times where I think I need supervision. There's a reason why we have these things on. Trust me, they're not that pretty to look at, and they're kind of awkward to have on. But we need them for safety. Because we really don't want to go to the emergency room and be like, hey, yeah, I probably need a tetanus shot, and can you remove this needle from my hand? There's barbs on it, like there's notches cut into it, because it will go through your finger. Especially if you are working through a particularly thick section and you've got a bit more pressure in there trying to pop through it. It's very possible. Yeah, so I'm trying to make sure that I'm following our hill line here, just to try to, so we keep those lines, right? Because we don't have paint, so it's not as easy to get the idea of the way things are sloped or the movement. I mean, it's still possible, but it's not as easy as it is with paint. So I'm trying to make sure that we're keeping our sloping lines so we don't lose that. There we go. See, that's lining back up there a little bit now. All right. Actually amazed that I managed to start as close to on time as I did. Friday night, I was sitting here trying to figure out a free game I picked up on Epic, and I was sitting here kind of like with my hand on my palm and looking up at my screen, and I turned my head and felt either a disc or a vertebrae, something shift and like slide around, and I was like, oh no, because it's similar to because I mean, I have issues with my neck, so sometimes I can feel when I've done something dumb. So I was like, oh no, oh no. It didn't completely lock up, like I can still move my head and everything. I just have quite a bit of I don't know, probably inflammation and it just feels angry. Like, it just doesn't feel right. So I'm just like, oh, good. So now I kind of have to wait for that to fix itself. I've been doing ice the past couple of days pretty steadily, but the pressure starts to make me feel dizzy after a while. Of like the pressure building up in my neck. So I think I'm gonna have to switch to the one heating pad here today and see what happens there. I might have to swap back and forth between the two for a couple of days. I was like, this is not at all what we needed right now. Not at all. We've got enough nonsense happening here. It's like, no, let's not. Alright. So we do have another layer of like hill that's gonna come into here, but I don't know its exact placement yet, so I want to make sure that we've got all of this in place. This might be kind of a boring day because we're just working on our little grassy slopes and stuff, but you know, it's all gotta get done. And I wasn't sure last week how many more sessions we had. I was thinking maybe 2 to 3. It really depends on how much we can get done in a session and how long that session's gonna be, to be perfectly honest. So we'll see how that goes. Alright. I think... Let's see, how are we looking? I mean, we're not looking too bad. I'm going to stretch you out just a little bit. And we'll put you kind of on top of that section in here. I feel bad covering up our rocky things, but you know, kind of need to some degree. Like, we're not covering them all up. That I don't want to do. That really wouldn't be very helpful. But coming up around them and maybe over them a little bit gives it more of an impression of grass trying to grow up around it in the crevices and stuff, so we will see. How things are getting on with that. Alright, let me there. I'm gonna grab a little bit of our frosty lime color here. Kind of don't want a whole lot of this, but I'm gonna need a little bit. Sorry, sometimes it's just easier having that arm on out there. I'm trying not to add too much of this light color because I don't want it to look too striped. I mean, I know it's going to look a little striped, so there's not a whole lot that we can do about that, but you know, maybe we can do a little something something. This is kind of be your time to play around a little bit, see what you want to do. Because if you're working with the longer strands, you can kind of tag it in, tap it in, and then, you know, turn it and then tap more in so that you can kind of get more of an arc or a movement to the line. So I'm just kind of tapping down around in there, just making sure everybody's good and stuck in and behaving a bit. Alright. So the lighter sections could just be the way the sun's hitting it. It could just be maybe that grass is starting to die a little bit, you know. Could be anything really. Just a little bit of fuzz there. I've got a little trash can on my desk here that I'm putting the extra little fuzzy bits that work their way off in, just because I don't want them to get mixed in with the regular color. And our poor felting mat, it's been through a little bit of a war. I'm using a felting mat, so it's a little bit quieter than the traditional foam mats. The foam mats bother my ears quite a bit, actually. Maybe could like snake this, right? And maybe add some taller, quote unquote taller, grassy guys down in here. I mean, we're still gonna have some more like foam and splashes and stuff coming up to the edge here, and we still have to put in the rest of our water. We still have that going, so this might actually be 4 more sessions. We gotta get the water good and worked in and stuff. Sorry, I didn't know what that dark spot was. It was the chocolate brown. I wasn't sure if something had somehow, like a bit of fuzz or something had gotten on there. I was like, uh-oh, what is this? No, we're good. Okay. So again, you don't really want to rush doing this, because I mean, it is a very sharp needle. And rushing will probably lead to disaster. And we don't want anyone getting hurt for silly things. So make sure you take your time and you're aware of where your hands are. This is not something you should be doing while terribly distracted. I mean, you can have something that you're listening to on in the background, or, you know, whatever. It's just I wouldn't be having like a 6-way conversation unless you have enough clearance and you've had practice at this and you know by now to keep yourself out of the line of fire. I'm just thinning out a section here. I'm not gonna roll it up on itself too much because I want it to be a bit thinner in here, because I want those other colors to shine through, so it looks a little bit more blended if possible. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult than others to get that across. It really depends on the colors and stuff, but sometimes, I mean, a lot of people go more simple with this stuff too, where they kind of give it more of like a folk art piece, where it's like your chunky blocks of color. That aren't really that blended. And that's fine too, if that's what you want. If you want a more simplistic picture. I just thought it would be fun and different to try this. And see how things go. Alright, I am gonna pop this up off of the mat here. I know a lot of people don't pop up off the mat all that often. And with foam you probably don't have to as much, but I find that with this particular type of mat I need to do so a little bit more, because when I don't, it almost adheres itself to the mat, and then when I try to pull it up it gets super distorted. Found that out the hard way the one time. I was like, oh no, what is this? I mean, it was a small test piece, so I mean that was fine. It was, nothing was ruined, but it was definitely a learning experience. I was like, oh, okay, so that happened. I just find it's a little bit more manageable on this type of mat if you release it from the mat every so often. And it also gives me a chance to smooth things out and just make sure that we're still looking pretty good. And all that jazz. Alrighty. Okay, so I mean, and this might get a little bit more evened out when we start to work on the other side. We'll see. Because I haven't been working straight across, so. And then we still have down here to do too. Alright, so let's see about, I keep going over to the edge of this and I don't really need to. I'm just trying to make sure that we're staying on our line here. We don't want to lose that. That wouldn't do us any favors at all. Not really. Alright. So what are you guys working on? Anybody working on any current art projects? I've got ideas for all kinds of projects. I just haven't had the chance to sit down and try to get them out of my brain. I've had a couple ideas for some mixed media pieces. But we will have to see how that goes. grab a bit more floof. Floofadoof. Alright, so this color is part of the acrylic yarn that I'm using. The other two green shades are some wool roving. So we can get this worked in here. Getting that set up. Just trying to make sure that everybody's good and attached here. I'm using one of the smallest gauge needles that came in my toolkit. I'm not exact sure of the number on it, it just said small. It might have said it somewhere on a piece of paper that I have since misplaced. But it was just a toolkit I had picked up off of Amazon. It was just the tools. It didn't have all the little grommets and findings and all that stuff. Because at the time I did not foresee me really doing too many 3D figurines, and I don't really do that many. I think I've done 2 of the 3D figurines so far, but probably gonna be making some Christmas ornaments this year, so I need to pick up some of those findings if I can. Again, this step is not something you guys really need to do, it's just become a me thing that I do just to try to flatten everything out a little bit more and get a better idea for how we're looking on the front side. Alright, so we've still got some rocks and things shining through in here. That's fine. We want that. We don't want to lose all of that. That would definitely not do us any favors. So I don't really know what shade this dark color green is. That's why I'm calling it like all these different names. It's either like a foliage green or like a lily pad green or something. This was part of the roving multi-sample color bag that I got. I think I got a bag of either 50 or 100. And some of the colors are doubled or tripled. But they didn't have names on them. It was just these little tiny, like, embroidery floss bags of fluff. And I'm like, oh. Okay. Right then. So, I mean, that was interesting. But I think I like, I'm not really a fan of the texture of the sample bits of roving. It's kind of scratchy, but I mean, I guess that's how some wool feels. Sorry, there's motorcycles going by. Like I said, we've got the window open today, so traffic's gonna be a little extra obnoxious today. Sorry. But definitely prefer the acrylic stuff. The acrylic stuff's a little bit softer. Or at least this particular bit of wool is a little bit scratchy, this wool roving. I've seen some wool roving where it's like soft as silk, so it might just depend on the type and brand. Now, I primarily use the the acrylic yarn for the painting, the dry needle felting, because it's cheaper, and you pretty much get, you know, similar results. If you're doing wet felting, though, I think you're gonna want to lean more into the wool aspect, because the wool seems to stick to itself a hell of a lot better from what I'm told, from what I've read. So, don't know, I haven't really tried it. I do know for the figurines, like for Marvin. Come here, Marvin. You've got cat fur on you, Marvin. Marvin's a little scraggly to begin with, because he was just kind of my first attempt at trying to figure figurines out. But he's got a bull roving core in there, and he's wrapped in the acrylic yarn. Thank you, Marvin. Go back to your desk watching duties. Alrighty. Oh, our friend that likes to rev their engine all the time down at the car wash has shown up. Oh, it's 5 o'clock. They're right on time. They are right on time today. And I wish I was being sarcastic about that, but I'm really not. Seems like on most days around 5 o'clock, or at least on the weekend, they're down there around this time of day, revving their engine at the car wash. I don't know what this is. I don't understand it. We live on the main road that goes through our town, so traffic is a little obnoxious at times. It's not as bad as it used to be. They did put a bypass in that a lot of people use, but not enough. And so we don't have the 18-wheelers, tractor trailers going by, slamming on their brakes and trying to downshift coming into a 4-way stop. So we still have a couple that come by, but not nearly as many. So, I mean, take that for what you will, I guess, but we still have a few obnoxiously annoying people who don't seem quite nearly responsible enough to be having a driver's license, or, you know, non-adult supervision. But like to hang out down there. It seems to be the hangout somehow in town. I'm like, can't you guys like go to a park or something? you gotta go there. But is that a cat? No, I'm asking, is that a cat?
Yeah, it's Peabody.
Okay. It sounded like it was coming from outside, so I wasn't sure if it was a person or if it was Peabody. So Peabody's gonna join in. I don't think my microphone's picking him up, though. It could, but I barely heard him, so I think he's in the other room. If he's sitting next to Russell, he's being very quiet. Alrighty. So I picked up a pinball game on Epic Games that was free. Every week or 2 weeks, they do a selection of games that you can download for free, which is kind of cool. and I hadn't really been looking on there very often. There's one game in my library that I don't remember ever picking up, so I think the husband grabbed it for me. Totally Reliable Delivery?
Yes, I grabbed that for you.
Okay, I was gonna say, I don't remember clicking on this, but it's in my library, and I don't know what this is. I'm gonna have to look at that. It sounds like something we might be able to make total asses out of ourselves and stream with. But I have to look at it first, because I don't know anything about it. I originally picked up the winemaking simulator, and I was like, oh, we could probably stream this, and then I started playing it, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to stream this. It's a lot going on, and the tutorial kind of only half explains stuff, and yeah, so we probably won't stream that. I'm still trying to figure it the fuck out and all that stuff. But yeah, so I picked up this pinball game that was free, and I get in there and it's like, oh, okay, so the game itself is free, but you have to buy the pinball tables. And I'm like, alright. But they do like 2 free games for every so many hours, and they kind of rotate through them. I'm like, okay, well, that's not too bad. And I kept seeing, you know, they're like, oh, like when you click on a game, you can buy this table for X number of tickets. And I'm like, tickets? I'm like, well, where the hell do you get the tickets from? Like, I didn't understand, like they kept talking about tickets, like 45 tickets, and I'm like, that doesn't sound terrible. Like, can I earn these tickets through playing? Like what is this? And couldn't figure it the fuck out. And then I finally saw something on one of the screens that I was flipping through at like 2:30 in the morning that said tickets, and I'm like, oh, hey, tickets. And like 100 tickets is like $10, and I'm like, oh. So like 45 tickets for a table would be what, like $4.50? Because I mean, 50 tickets would be like $5, I guess. If you get like the 100 tickets. Like, there was a couple different tiers of tickets at different price points, and I was like, oh, okay. Not terrible, but I'll just stick with the free tables. That's fine. I can only do it so much because it's a lot for me to try to track where the balls are. It's been a while since I've done the pinball thingies, and I'm used to the old school arcade pinballs where there's not that much graphical interference, shall we say. Because the one game was quite a bit of a challenge, the one table on there for me, where they definitely leaned into the digitalized version of it, because or look of it, because they had points scrolling up like right where your flappers are, and so then I couldn't see if the ball was coming down at the flappers, and I'm like, this is either really bad design or it's like this on purpose to trip you up, and it's probably the latter. Just to kind of to fuck with you a bit, but you know, it's interesting. It's not bad, because I mean, you know, it's not some. I probably wouldn't buy the tables. I mean, I don't have the money to anyway, but I mean, the free ones are fine. But I have to remember to check in on Epic a bit more often, because sometimes they have stuff that pops up for free that's a little bit of an older game. I mean, this game said it was an early access, so that surprised me that it showed up for free on there. But sometimes they'll have stuff that's free that you have to pay for on Steam. So I mean, sometimes it's nice to cross-reference. Their launcher's a bit obnoxious though, so I don't always have it loaded in. Just because it seems like it's always updating stuff. And then when I went to close it, they're like, are you sure you want to close the launcher? I'm like, yeah. I clicked close, didn't I? It's gonna be okay, Epic. I'll be back later. Alright, where are we at here? We're down at the bottom of this. I want this a little bit more wispy in here. I mean, you can definitely tell that we haven't gotten down here yet because our line is like out to here and everybody else is like tucked in. That's okay. We'll get that sorted. We'll get that cleaned up here as we go along. But at least, you know, I've got the line guide on there that we went to the trouble of sketching in, just so I have an idea of where roughly we need to be over there on the edge. I know it looked ridiculous when we first put it in, but it does help in the end. Not necessarily a bad idea to go ahead and sketch that in, and I just used just a pen, any old pen. Because we're just felting in over top of it, and we're dry felting, so I don't have to worry about the ink running or anything. If I was worried about that, I would have used like a specific fabric pen. But that's fine, we're good. Alright, so we've almost got this side's grass tapped in here, or finished being tapped in. And it's not bad. We're coming together, slowly, but we're coming together. Again, I'm trying not to lose all of our rock area here, because, you know, I hate wasting supplies, number one, and number two, we went to all that trouble to get that put in just so. So we should probably not make all of it vanish. So, I mean, you can still see in some spots where we've got a little bit of the camel still shining through. It's easier to see like up in here, and you can see it a bit in person a bit better. If I zoomed way in, you could see it, but I really don't feel like zooming that far in right now, so trust me, you can see it a little bit. This piece of felt was cut kind of short widthwise compared to the others, a little bit shorter. I mean, they were all a little bit short. They were supposed to be 9x12s, and so I should have had like ½ an inch on each side still to have some wiggle room, and I didn't. I was like, oh, this is not the size they said it was. Maybe that was pre-shrinkage, I don't know. But I did measure the felt squares I picked up from Walmart. Picked a couple up from there. And those were just about spot on to 9x12, so I'm thinking it's just a weirdness with this company. I'm sure there's some fine print somewhere. Or maybe their machines were just off, who the fuck knows. I mean, most people are cutting stuff out of this, so it doesn't matter if it's a little teeny bit off. But like this wasn't even, it said 9 by 12. It's like 7 3/4. It's not even 8. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's a thing. Apparently. Alright, so we got that side kind of worked in there. And see, we've got that line coming back in. So now we're gonna hop on over and give some love to this side here. Kind of feel like, well, no, I don't know if this needs to be a little bit thicker over here. Probably not. We should probably leave it be. And let's get this side worked in before we start fussing too hard. Let me see here. Let me adjust something 1 second. Okay. Alrighty, what color do we want to grab here? I guess we'll grab a little bit more of this. Now we have to try to get some bushes and stuff worked in up here. Because we need to make sure that our water is good and contained. And I have this a little bit crooked here. It's more crooked in front of me than it is on the camera because of how the camera's sitting. Like on the camera it looks pretty straight. Oddly enough. But we didn't have the money for fancy like overhead rigging and stuff, so that, and I have to be careful with putting stuff up above and suspending it from the ceiling, because Cow's an asshole. Cow the cat. And he'll probably think it's like a tension bar like we have in the bathroom for the shower curtain, and he climbs on that, and he's knocked that down with his sheer weight. And I have one bar hanging from the ceiling as it is, kind of like a little divider that I can pull across if I'm just trying to concentrate and work on something, or, you know, or if the husband's sleeping, I don't want the light shining in his eyes and stuff. And he's eyed that up a few times. He hasn't tried to jump for it yet. But I'm like, it's only a matter of time. Alright. So I'm just trying to put in something that kind of looks tall and grassy here. Probably gonna have to put in a few shades. As we do it. Just to kind of... Oh, that's not the pad. There's the pad. Just to kind of get the idea there. You alright?
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Just depositing.
Oh.
I had trouble with the call. Did you want the
Oh,
pieces?
doggo potty time. Doggo potty time. Did I need to get them? So this might, excuse me, allergies, losing my voice. This might need a few passes in here just to kind of get the point across. I'm gonna actually come over into the edge of the water there just a little bit. Alright, I'm just trying to flatten that out. Just a little. Grab the other one. You alright?
Yeah, he's just, again, he started pulling really hard.
Yeah, he's been doing that with me, and I'm so scared he's gonna hurt himself again. Momo had hurt his back last year pulling on the leash. Well, actually, it was... He had, we'd taken him on a bit of a long walk. And, longer than they had been on in a while. And, I guess that they were kind of pooped, at the end of it. And when we came back, Momo tried to jump on the bed, and our bed's a little bit high, and he missed, and he slipped and he fell, because our floor is not really, it's fake hardwood. It kind of looks like laminate or something. And so the surface was slippery, and he slipped and he fell, and he hurt his back, and he'd already had a history of a disc that liked to slip. So it was starting, like, we had to take him to the vet. It was a whole thing, and they were telling us he needed an MRI, and we're like, we don't have the money for an MRI, and they're like, well, we can just kind of wait it out a little while and do pain management and see how it goes and see if he starts to improve or not. So, because they weren't sure if he needed surgery, and I'm like, well, we don't have money for that either. But he did start to slowly improve, and then he was pulling on the leash, and between pulling and stepping down, he re-pulled it like a month or so after it originally happened, or maybe a week. Time blurs. And it took him, I'd say maybe 8 or 10 months to get back to somewhat normal. Somewhat. So it's been a rough year with him. Well, we don't even see. Alright, maybe we need to just do like an actual bush shape instead of straight up grassy things there, because that just didn't do it. It just blended right on in. That's fine. So let me just kind of make like a little circle-y guy here. Circle-y of darkness. Get that put in there. I'm almost thinking we might need to grab the hunter green and darken that up a little bit more, because that's not doing it for me. I'm not feeling that. So let me go grab the other color. Ow, that was a board. That was a board that we just slammed our knee into. I need to work on that too. Oh, okay, don't forget to take a stretch break. Always a good idea. Let's just grab them both. Am I wrong? Should we grab them both, Little? What do you think? Alright. Little's watching from the end of the bed. Okay. So we've got our other two greens here. I don't know, maybe we'll go with the varsity green. We haven't really used that one in here. Might be a little strange to add that color in at this point, but we're going to be using a lot of our varsity green when we work on the gingerbread project. So we're probably going to have to fluff quite a bit more of this. Alright, so I'm just stretching this out, right? And then I'm just going to kind of twirl it in on itself. Kind of make like a little circly guy. This guy kind of worked in here. And now we can't see what direction our stream is coming from. That's by design. So, yeah, no, that's fine. That's okay. Getting that worked in there real good. And it's okay if he's a little wild and scraggly there, because, you know, that's fine. Now, this guy here, I don't know what to do with him. Maybe if we take a little bit more of this. So this is our varsity green, right? We take a little bit more of our, what were we calling this? Our foliage green? Lily pad. And we just kind of get these guys melted in here together. see what we can do with that. This might be, oh, that's a little big. But maybe having this other color kind of swirled in with him. Will help our cause there, maybe. It gives them a little bit of a different feel. And at least this one's got a little bit of the kind of like darker, almost dead grass color. So maybe that one's not faring quite so well. I don't know. Kind of want to put some little flowers on there, but at the same time, I kind of don't feel like getting up again. Let me see. Oh, there we go. If I can get my bag of mini fluffs here. Let's see. Do we have? We do. Okay. Grab a thing of red sample fluff. I don't need very much of this, that's for sure. And we'll trim that up. Now he didn't have quite this degree of shrubbery happening. So this is gonna be part of us just doing our thing. But, I mean, there's no reason why we can't have a little splash of color on there. Maybe it's a holly bush. And that also kind of, can't really see it on there though. We're not going to do too much on that. Just enough. I mean, you can see it in person. I know that doesn't help you guys very much. But it does break up a little bit of that. Let me grab this green and kind of tuck that back in its bag. I mean, you can definitely kind of see it on the back before I schmooshed everything out. Alright, so let's get back into our grassy stuff here. Alright, put that bag to the side. I don't think we're gonna need that one. Grab a bit more of our spring green color here. Okay, now. Alright, we're gonna grab our, actually, gonna grab that shrubbery. Just kind of work that in a little bit there around our splashiness. That sorted on in. Go ahead and snip that. Alright, I think I want behave everything. Nothing's behaving. Okay. I'm gonna grab a little bit of our spring green guy here. And just kind of work him into some sort of shape that might fit in here. A little bit. Just to kind of get that tucked around. All right. Now, I kind of want to come back to this. And I feel like we need just a small little guy. Just kind of maybe protruding up into that one. Like, it's not much, but it probably looks ridiculous, but that's what we're doing. I feel like it would be more ridiculous if he was just kind of sitting there unchecked. Alright, now grab a little bit more of our foliagey green here. I'm just trying to circle the needle around that tail before I start coming up too quickly. mean, we have to remember not to get too carried away. We don't want to lose too much of our rocks and things. Alright, snippy snip that. Okay, now I still have a little bit of this in my hand. So I'm gonna take this over to here. And just kind of work that in. Alrighty. Alright, I'm gonna pop this up here. And we'll smooth that out. Alright, so for anybody that wants to watch this tutorial in full that may have just come in, I'm not sure if the link is still showing for you, but we'll redo it. So there's that, and that's going to be over on the Bob Ross YouTube channel, is where we are pulling that from. Okay. You know what? Let's grab some of this color. We haven't put this guy in a while. So start to get him all worked in here. Should still be in frame, looks like. Alright, so get that tapped into there. And we'll probably get a bit more of our spring green here. Kind of slid into there, maybe a little bit in there. If we can manage to squeeze that on in. Maybe we can. Let's finish up with this color first, though. Don't want to get too far ahead of us. You okay?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. worked into there. Just trying to fill in that background area just a little bit more. Alright, so we got that going. I mean, we're not doing too bad. This one has actually been a lot more of a challenge than I was thinking it was going to be. When I first kind of skimmed through the tutorial, I was like, oh, yeah, we can do this, no problem. This doesn't look that complicated. And then once we actually got in here to doing the thing, it actually worked out to be a lot more complicated than I was originally thinking it was gonna be. So we got that. I mean, we're doing pretty decently though, I think, all things considered. Alright, so let's grab some more of our spring green here and start to get that worked in. And don't forget to, you know, look up, take a breath, actually sit back, look at both sides every so often, just so you don't get too, and I mean that applies for whatever medium you're really working with and looking at. I mean, paint, mixed media, this stuff, you know, our tissue paper stuff that we would do, anything really. I mean, sometimes we can get so focused on this little section that sometimes we've just gotten way too carried away. And then that one little section can look overdone compared to the rest of the thing. Or we can suddenly realize, oh, our clouds have all disappeared, or oh, all of our dark area has vanished. I mean, so remember to try to come up for air every so often, at the very least. If nothing else, to get a drink, take a breath, and stretch. So that way you don't get too locked up sitting in the position that you have been. Alright. Not too shabs. I think I want to bring a little bit of this down into here though. Doesn't have to be super thick because, you know, we don't want to lose our rocks and stuff. I am trying to put a little bit more, I guess, leafy stuff over here. I should probably put like maybe a bush here over on that side too. Or at least, you know, thicken that particular spot up just a bit. just to kind of help us contain. I mean, even if it still only looks like a grassy section. At least it feels a little bit more put together. I know the rocks were supposed to be what kind of gave us that containment feeling, but I feel like this helps with that just a little bit. Now. Okay. Let's see about getting this piece we're doing. So, like, it's not gonna look exactly like Bob's. We're not that good. And his was done with paint. It's gonna look similar, but it's not going to be, 100% dead on there. And it shouldn't. It's not really what we were trying to do. We're trying to get it close. I mean, we'd have more of a chance of it looking closer to his if we were using paint. But we're not this time out. I mean, so far, I don't think we're doing too terrible. Not really. So maybe about here. And this is our leafy green. Kind of like our muted shadowy green. Not as deep as like Hunter or bright as our Varsity, but definitely darker than our like springy yellowy green here. Or light green is the actual color name of that yarn. Alright, so we're just going to work on getting that bit put into here. And we'll see how we do. We haven't put as much of our fleshy lime in on this side, so we might need to add a little bit have that in here soon. Maybe in here, maybe in between these two dark spots. We could probably make that happen. Is what I'm thinking. Alright. Random piece of fuzz that escaped from somewhere. But he did not want to be a willing participant, it seemed, so that's alright. We'll just remove him. And everything will be okay. Alright, that's a little thick, I think. Let's thin that out just a little bit more. Alrighty. Get this worked in. The WoW Challenges Iron Man Hunter leveling contest finished yesterday. So congratulations to Azzy, who put in one hell of a show. He was sitting in first place for a while at level 54 and died. Came back within like 2 or 3 days. Got back up to like 52, I think. No, 48. And then died again. Came back again and got into the 50s and had a real life emergency he had to go and deal with and died again while he was gone. And he came back and managed to win at the very end, like at level 40 something. I would have sworn that we were going to have a 60, but Shadowlands was a little tricky to get through quickly. And that just kind of goes to show anything can happen. There was a lot of challengers that didn't make it there through the last day there, that had some missteps and mishaps. And then there was the drawing for those that finished 2nd through 10th for a pet. Mrs. Rock Guru won one of the raffle chances. And somehow I ended up winning one too, even though I had like no tickets. I think I had like 3 tickets or something because of where I placed. Which I thought was terribly, terribly funny. I was like, what? It's like, I haven't played this character in over a week because I just haven't had time, and I finished in the top 10. I was like, alright. Sure, I guess. Okay, so let's take a look back and we look at it through the camera so then I can see the big picture a little bit better. Alright, so I think I want to come back in with our spring green. We need a bit more of that action happening. Alright. I think I want to bring that maybe, start that down into here. And then we'll start, where do I want this to go? Maybe kind of up into there. I don't have very much pressure on this finger. I'm just kind of using that to keep it just kind of out of the way. But as the needle's going through, it is pulling what it wants to pull out of there. I'm not holding it that taut. Just so that I can see what I'm doing. Sorry, I'm being attacked by rampant. Rampant? I don't know. I guess rampant. It's a fuzz that. Renegade fuzz? Let's go with renegade fuzz. It is drifting through the air. So I'm hoping to know sometime tomorrow if I actually manage to hit that payout threshold. So we will see if we'll be starting our gingerbread house soon. If we're not, we can try to do something for Halloween. Try to do a little pumpkin figurine, I guess, now that I've got some proper orange. But we'll see, we'll see. I should know more tomorrow. I've got some of the pieces, but there's a few more things I would like to get. It would make, I think, the project go a little bit smoother. I wasn't sure if I was actually in frame there. Couldn't figure out what that shadow was on my screen. It was coming from my microphone. I guess because of the way one of the lights are angled. I guess. Alright, let me pop this guy up here. Try not to point the needle at my face. Okay. Now. Now. Let's grab a bit more fluffy floof. Just kind of want it loosely gathered together here. Try to get our edge worked on here just a little bit. Might take a couple of passes. In this particular spot, but that's okay. If it does, it does. Some loose fuzzy guys from our base coat there on that. And remember, this section's gonna get cut off, so we're not gonna see that obnoxious yellow edge there. That will be going away with our pen lines and stuff on it. Alrighty. So I want to make sure that all of this is good and attached before I start bringing in another layer, just so I can see where our colors are sitting. I think I want to bring in some more of our dark color here. Doesn't need to be a huge amount. Just a little bit. I'm gonna twirl that just a teeny tiny bit. Make sure that we're in frame here. The dogs are tapping around. What time is it? 6. Okay. Oh, great. I was kind of hoping to get this section in before we called it a day. So they're just gonna kind of have to cope. They're hovering because I made dinner for them last night. And this is around the time I usually start making dinner most nights. If I'm not streaming, or if I actually manage to start earlier in the day. Starting earlier today wasn't gonna happen. Because, like I said, my neck's kind of angry right now. I was actually considering canceling today, but I wanted to try to get something done. Sorry, that fuzz just didn't want to be a team player there, so he was bugging me a little bit. Alright, so just work on getting this bit of grass put in here, and we need to work on getting some more of our lighter colors in here, because we've got a lot more of our fleshy color, or our lime fleshy color. And on the other side there. So I don't want to neglect that. So we'll work on getting that kind of lead in here. I should probably have a little bit more in that spot. Probably. Okay. Get this kind of popped into there. And I think I want to add a little bit more of that. I know I'm just going kind of back over the same spots that it doesn't look like we touched, but I've got some little wispies that are kind of floating over top of that. I'm just trying to make sure that they are secured. And you know, sometimes when you're tapping in one area, another area will start to look like it's getting a little pulled up, or it might look a little bit loose in one spot, and it's more than fine if that's the look that you're going for to go back over it, just to make sure that you are attached to your liking. Carefully snip that. So my arm is slowly getting better because we can use scissors now, so that's one indication. Scissors were not so a happy thing to be attempting to use there for a week or two. We're slowly working on getting it back to where that needs to be. Let's see here if we can get this bit put into here. Sorry, I was just taking a look at where our colors are placed. Taking a breath, step back, or lean back. Let me pop that up because it's gonna been a minute since we've popped up off of the mat there. Alright, let's see. Our mat's a little misshapen there. I don't know how much wear we'll get out of the mat, but we've had this guy for what? Almost, well, December will be a year. So I guess 9 months. Not too bad. Alright, let's take a look. Okay. So yeah, we definitely had some more of the springy green on this side, so we need to work a bit more of that in over here. So let's get to work on that. Alright, probably gonna need a little bit more on that section there. And don't forget, we still have a little ways to go on this. I mean, how far in the tutorial are we anyway? About 15 minutes into a 26-minute. Oh, don't point that at your face. So we've got a little bit more remaining. But not terribly so. Although I might be severely underestimating 3 more sessions. It really depends on how much we get done each session, honestly. It's a hard thing to ballpark there. Perfectly honest. So we still have to put in some more lake water. And we have to finish up our ripples along the edge here. And then there's another little bit of landmass down in here that's kind of encasing our water areas, so really depends on how long it takes to get through all of that, honestly. Alright, let's see here. Get a little bit more of this kind of worked into our edgy edge. Now I know our line's kind of going weird here, but I still want to try to take that up to the edge line, because as we're stabbing through, it's pulling back in, so it's righting itself. And it'll still probably end up being just a little wonky, but it won't be like this wonky when we're done, or at least it shouldn't be. Not if we keep consistently doing what we've been doing. Alrighty, bro. Alright, so we need a bit more of that. Ah! Behave, my friend. Filled in a bit more before we go ahead and pop that up and see how we're doing. We do have a bit of a dark area in here. We might grab a little bit more of our fleshy lime. And work a little bit of that in here. I want to get this pulled up first, though. Get a better feel for how we're sitting. All right. I mean, you can kind of see the reverse image taking shape. Here's the backside of the waterfall, and then, you know, our trees and shrubs and our little grassy riverbank, I guess. Alright, so that's not looking too bad. Yeah, on the whole, I definitely think we need a bit more of the light color, or we need to come back and fill in some of the light color on here. We might fill in a little bit of that light color on this side. Because now that I'm looking at it, I feel like maybe we overdid the light just a little bit. Not a huge ton, but maybe just a little. That didn't do a whole lot to tone that down. Alright, let's see here. Let's see about getting that laid in over that. I mean, we still have a ways to go on this side. I think I want a little bit more grassy stuff right in there too. Okay, let's see. Let's see where we're at here. Let's get that kind of re-situated. Alright, that's a little toned down a little bit. Alright. So now on this side, come back over here. Oh right, we wanted to just fill that in a little bit more. And the edge there. I mean, I don't mind the gap to a degree, but it was a little bit of a big gap, so I almost needed a sign to mind the gap there. Alright. This worked into here. And we'll see how that's gonna look. Probably need to grab some more of our light color. Not a whole lot. Just a little bit. Get a little bit of that laid in through here. Alright, let me snip that. And where else? Where else would we have this kind of hanging out in here. Perhaps right around into here. And maybe we'll take that up into there. Okay. Alright. Sorry, just taking a minute to look. We really should take more time to stop and take a breath and look, so we don't completely overdo it. Alright. So I do hope everybody has a good week coming up. Oh, you know what? We need to... Let me check on something real super quick. I kind of feel like with all of the things happening right now in the world, I wasn't even really paying attention to the dates. And last night when I was scheduling stuff, I was like, oh, like it didn't sink in as I was scheduling stuff, you know, and there was stuff going on the 10th and everything. But when I went to actually schedule something and I had to pick out the date of, you know, 9/11 in the time, and I'm like, oh, that's right. Today's the anniversary of the Twin Towers. So I think we'll take a moment here and just have a moment of silence. Okay. So, and I didn't see that much news about it earlier. Like, everything's just happening. There's the war in Ukraine, the death of the Queen in England, and all of this other stuff just kind of all going on right now. And it's not something that we should forget. We can't forget. It's not fair to those that got caught up in it for us to forget. So All right. Back to arty things. Back to the arty things. I think we're going to need to grab our dark green color here in a minute. Like, I don't necessarily want these I don't know, these two different riverbanks on either side to I'm not quite sure what to call them. To be identical. I don't necessarily want that. But if we can try to get them somewhat similar, that might be a little bit more beneficial. I do feel like we have a lot more rock showing on this side. And we probably do. But I keep looking back to the other side here. I don't know, I'll have more of an idea on what if we're gonna add some more of the spring green over top of some of our extra light lime color, because like it doesn't look all that much from in person, but looking at it through the camera and the way the light is hitting it up there, it looks like we went a little ham on it. Or a little more ham than I necessarily wanted it to be. But we gotta get our other colors fully worked in here on this side before I go too crazy trying to balance it out. It could just be the way the light's hitting it, because there's not that much happening on this side. That is possible. All right. I'm probably going to take this up and over the very, very base of our tree trunky guy here. Let me pull you up just a little bit. I just want to get some shade variation up here. Doesn't have to be super different, but do want a little something something happening over here. Oh my. My stomach just growled so loudly. Like I'm sitting here thinking, I'm getting hungry. Didn't think I was quite that hungry, apparently. We are. Alright, let me just kind of re-straighten this out. Alright, so yeah, I mean this side's come pretty much back in on itself, and that's good. This side's still a little all over the place, but that's okay. We're not done over there yet. So that's fine. We're working on getting that cleaned up here. Again, I want to make sure I'm coming out to my pen line here, because as we tap that in around it, it'll start to pull back in. And getting that all evened out and snugged up. Alright. So we do need a bit more of this color laid in here. I'm thinking not quite where I am wanting that to be just yet. See, even as we're hitting this section, this area down in here is trying to like pull inward because of how the fibers are all sitting, so don't get too fretting about this issue because it'll sort itself. I mean, I try to help it along a little bit by fussing like that, but you don't have to. And see, our dip and valley in here is starting to flatten out a bit more. But yeah, we definitely need some more of this guy. Trying to figure out why this side looks a little bit different than this side. Is it just because of the layers? I mean, it could be. Make sure we've got room to work here. So I'm coming up to that pen line again because it'll eventually get pulled back in line with everything else. Just want to make sure that we're still trying to stay somewhat even with the rest of the edge. Or at least as even as we can be. And you know, we probably did have a bit more dark on the other side to help pop those lighter areas. So I think we'll probably grab some more of our light green. And get a little bit more of that laid in on this side. I feel like we've also lost some sun too. Sun's going down, so. Put that fuzz in our little fuzz holder. Okay, so grab a little bit of our light lime flesh. That's what I'm calling it. That's a little too thick, I think. Well, I guess we'll go with it. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. Okay. Let's see, do we need to thicken that up a little bit? Maybe not. Maybe not. Let's see what we look like getting all stuck on in there. I mean, maybe just a little. Maybe that's what it is. Like this lighter areas a little bit thicker. You all right?
Mm-hmm.
Our husband pulled his back too, so we're quite the pair at the moment. Okay. So we'll get this. Where are you? Oh, you're touched up here somewhere. Had a little flyaway sticking up, and I'm like, where on earth did you come from? so I can reattach you. Alright. So now let's grab a little bit more of our lighter green floof. So just sticking to everything. And maybe, oh, at least I didn't stab myself. My hand likes to do that sometimes, or it'll just let go of the thing. At least it wasn't with paint either. I've done that before too, and dropped a paintbrush full of paint. And had to frantically try to clean up the paint splat, whatever you want to call it, that my hand decided was going to go there, and I'm like, no, 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 no. That can't be there. Alright. So we'll get this reworked in here. Actually, that looks pretty good on that side. I think maybe we need to come back over here and reshadow that tree. Is now my thought process on that. Because we kind of lost our shadow over here, didn't we? Let go. You go over there too. Okay. So yeah, I feel like we totally did. As if the light's coming from here. Our tree friend here. Should really be a little bit more dark behind it. So again, at this stage, this is going to be like you kind of playing around, trying to balance out your grassy bank here. Without losing too much of your rocks and things. Get this lead in here. And then I want to see how we're looking. I mean, we still have to finish that over there, but we're getting there. Alright, so Got that kind of stuck on into there. Sorry, I still have some little flyaways that I can see that are not. You okay, little? Alright. Sound like she got stuck in the blanket. She's kind of looking at me like I'm stupid. Cats have been a little crazy lately. Well, crazier, shall we say. Alright, that's better. That's better. Definitely better. I think we might need to darken up this one too a little bit. It doesn't have to be tremendously so, but maybe we can just try to thicken that up just a little bit. That's a little bit more toned down. Okay, that's good. Alright, let's just re-stretch this stuff out, reflatten it. Alright, that's looking pretty good there. Alright, so we're getting there. Let's grab some more of this colored fluff if it'll stop attacking me. And we'll work on getting this side finished up. So that was today's main goal, was just getting our stream bank kind of situated here. I am liking that we've added a second art day, so we can have 2 art days back to back. So we'll be doing some more art tomorrow afternoon. And you know, if you can't make it to the Monday one, I totally understand. That's why I try to archive the lives over on the YouTube channel. And we have a WoW Challenges playlist, we have a Planet Zoo playlist, we have a Minecraft playlist. I haven't had the chance to do Michael's Minecraft in a while. I really need to get back into there. I've just been crazy busy. And this stuff will be on the Nisey Paints playlist. Alright. Let's see here. Let me grab this piece. Alright, we should probably add some more of our dark color in here pretty soon. Maybe. I feel like I'm always more tentative on the left side of working on stuff. Don't know why that is, but it seems to be a thing here. For me, at least. All right. All right. Let's get some of our dark here. And maybe we'll tuck that in up against our lighter green there. Alrighty. Alright. And I kinda didn't take that right up onto the edge, so we've got a little bit of a light green gap there that I want to make sure we get filled in. Okay, now let's grab our dark green color here. And we'll start to get this guy kind of worked into there. Without losing too much of our More rocks on the side here. I mean, I feel like we've got a few more rocks exposed over here than we do on this side, and we probably do. So I'm just gonna kind of tap all around in here just to make sure everybody's good and situated, even if we didn't add any color to that specific spot, just to make sure we're good and anchored together. Alright, so let's pop that up. Alright, so we still have a little bit more to fill in over here, and you can actually see that this didn't get right up on the edge there, so we'll grab some of that fluff. And just kind of start working that in there. Let's see how pulled in we can get this edge to be. Like, I don't think it'll be perfectly pulled in, but we can get some of it brought back into line here. Or at the very least, that's the plan. Kind of why I'm still poking through the sections, even though we might not have necessarily added any color in those spots, just to make sure we're kind of keeping everybody as even as we can. Well, it's not going to be fully possible, but I mean, we can sure try. Alright. Get all of this sorted out. We're almost there. We're slowly pulling that back into place. One of those things that'll take a little bit of time, a little bit of fussing. Probably won't be perfect though. And we are working with fiber, and fiber's gonna do what fiber's gonna do for the most part. Alright. So I'm gonna pop this guy up here. Feels like I'm ripping off Velcro. Alright, let's get this kind of re-straightened out. Alright, no. That's how we're sitting so far. Not bad, not bad. I feel like we probably need some more of our light green sitting right around into here. But that is probably too much light green. Alright, let's see how this thickness does us here. Get that bit of extra floof removed from there. It's just me trying to wrap up a little bit of the flyaways there. Alright. Well, we're not doing half bad. It's starting to come out of its what the fuck is this stage. Or at least it is to me. Hopefully it is to you as well. So we need a bit more of our spring green, or light green rather. To come in down into here. So this is the acrylic yarn that I fluffed. This particular shade. I don't want to lose all of our rocky friends here, so I'll try to make sure that I'm leaving some gaps. On up around into there. Okay. This is a little bit of a slow medium to work with if you're doing something quite so detailed or elaborate. That doesn't make it any less fun. It's actually kind of more fun for me because it's one of those things I don't have to worry about the paint drying out on my palette and you know, my hand letting go and dropping a paintbrush full of paint, and I still will paint, but this is a nice change of pace, shall we say. Alright, don't forget, we still have to come back in and finish our watery area down in here. I mean, that's not all the water. We're probably gonna bring it back down to about here, maybe. Water will be for tomorrow, though. Not working on water today. We don't have time. That will be for another day. Still in frame here. Sometimes I have a tendency to slide off the frame out of the camera. And I never notice until, you know, it's been like 10 minutes and I'm like, oh damn it. So we just get so into what we're working on. Alrighty. So we're probably going to need a little bit more of our dark color here. Just to get that filled in a bit. I wish we could get this tucked in a little bit tighter. The other side tucked in pretty good. Not quite sure. Why this side's being a little extra fussy about it. Maybe we just need to thicken up our fiber. On this side a bit. I mean, that could be. Alright. I think I'm gonna trim this to about there. Just so we have some direction to go with that. Actually, I'm sure once we get more of the water put in, we'll start tightening that up a bit more. And don't forget, we've still got the other land masses that are going to be coming in through here. Just trying to make sure that's all good and attached in there. Let me pop this guy back up. Alright, so yeah, you're just being really extra fussed here. Alright. Well, if that's how you're gonna do things, let me get a little bit more fluff going here. Alright, so this put into here. See if we can't bring you back into line a little bit. You were starting to come back in, and then you hit a point and you're just like, nope, I don't wanna. And I personally don't know why you don't seem to want to. I do think you're being rather silly about it. So this isn't something that you can rush the fluffing. Oh, my neck just did a tiny pop. We'll find out if it was good, bad, or indifferent soon. I don't know why. You, my friend, are being quite so silly. Whew, hands getting tired. Alright. I'm going to finish up this section in here. I mean, sometimes we just have a wonky edge. That's just the way it is. It could be because I've been pulling up from this side too. That's entirely possible. Let me pull up from this side. Oh, so, well, I mean, I guess this side's a little bit, you know, out as well, I suppose. Alright, let me grab some more of our lighter fluff here. And we'll work on getting this one tapped in. Probably going to need to add a bit more of our spring green onto that. Let me just see if I kind of start fussing over here, if we can try to bring that back a little bit. Alright, I added that color. Well, not out, but alright, I want to get a bit more of this along the bottom here. Now, I don't have my finger on any of it right now, so let's see, that was at a little bit more of an angle. Maybe we can try to angle that a little bit more. Alright, so yeah, we'll have to take a look at how far the water's sitting. We'll do that tomorrow. And we'll work on blocking in the rest of this land that kind of sits down in here as well. We really can't finish up our little, you know, water splashes and ripples until we finish getting that all worked in there. We've got to get some more water down first. Or else that is something that's just not gonna look right no matter how we try to get that to happen. Yeah, that's so strange that that side is just like not having it. It's like, no, maybe I don't want to pull in. I mean, it doesn't really matter that much because we can use the rest of the line as a guideline to clean up the edge. So it's not all of that terrible. A little bit more of this. Again, my finger's not really putting pressure on this. I'm just trying to keep it from bunching too much so I can see what the heck we're doing here. Like, it wants to pull back in. I can kind of see it trying. And the rest of it didn't do half bad. I guess it's just gonna be like one of those things until we get more done over here. Which, you know, it could very well be. But it's not that big of a deal. Not really. Alright, let me pop you off of there. Although, looking at that there, that does look like we came off the pen line just a little bit. Alright, let's see what we got here. Yeah, I mean, it's a little over there, but not, it's not gonna make or break it. Like I said, we cleaned that up anyway. Alright, I think we're gonna get just a little bit more of our light color worked into here. I feel like, yeah, definitely need a little bit more of the lighter color action happening. Alright, so let me trim that. On the edge there, just make sure we're looking pretty good, and then right along in here. I feel like I want to lighten that up just a little bit more, or just thicken that light area. Just a little bit. Alright, you know what? This could be a little bit more stretched out because I think that was where I was pulling it. Alright, how we looking? How we looking? Pretty good, pretty good. Let me put the needle over here, get it out of the way. Alright. Just kinda get this stretched out here. Alright, well, I mean, those sides are a little bit more even. Okay, so this is where we're sitting so far. Not bad, not bad. Now tomorrow, we're gonna come back in and finish filling in our lake, or our stream. So I think it gets kind of filled into here, maybe, and maybe to here. Let's take a look at what tomorrow has in store for us. Okay, so we don't know where it goes, because he's gonna put all kinds of dark brown stuff into here, so it'll just kind of be however shape we want to take that down into here. I'll probably kind of take it to here. It might come up the banks just a little bit, but yeah, so tomorrow we'll have water, and we'll see about starting the dark shadow of the rocks coming in through here. See how far we get. But yeah, we might have 2 more sessions after tomorrow. We'll see. Could only be 1, it could be 3. We'll see how far we get tomorrow and what time I can get started, because that'll be the big decider. So like tomorrow we're gonna have more art, like I said. We'll be starting in the afternoon at some point. 4 p.m. is the suggested start time. We could start a few minutes earlier, we could start a few minutes later. If you can't make it to the live, then the VOD will be here for a few days. What is it, like a week, 2 weeks? And if you miss it, it'll be on the YouTube channel's playlist. Let's see here. I don't know. Let me check my list real quick here. Just super quick. Because the one list isn't always correct. Okay, you know what? Let's go and we'll go see this person. They are working on some World of Warcraft Classic. If I can get this typed in here properly. Always a crapshoot with me. Alright, let's try that. So, I thank you guys for hanging out with me this afternoon. Hope to see you tomorrow. If not, then I hope to see you on Thursday for WoW Challenges stuff. So, have a good week, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow, and have a good one.